whenever we worked with Humbatzman, he did many things. And one of the things he did was he shared the information and knowledge about why we wear our sashes, why we wear our headbands, and that kind of thing. And this headband that I have here, the symbols on the side are Humbatzman symbols that he made in Lol Bay, the sacred site in Mexico. And the symbol in the center is our Cosmic Mystery School symbol. And the Cosmic Mystery School symbol, the center part is the Milky Way galaxy, and then the sun, of course, Father Sun. So I'm just trying to explain that a little bit to you. And whenever we do anything, I mentioned earlier today that his answer would be always, do ceremony, right? Do ceremony, right? So whenever he did anything related to ceremony, he did it in a sacred manner, very sacred manner. So he wouldn't just put his headband on at all. What he would do first was look at the sky and find the sun and make an offering to the sun. Any of you who know him have seen him do this a million times. And get in contact with the sun and make a relationship and connection first. And then he would put on his headband, okay? I try to make sure that this one is so that my third eye is actually in the right place and not to the side or anything. We're going to bring in the information, right? Okay. Okay. So that was like a first step. So everything he did it in that manner. My husband and I were lucky enough to meet Humbatzman in 1996. And that happened because we had been so obsessed with studying the Mayan pyramids and going to Mexico since we first got together in 1990 and really connecting with the Mayan energy. And I said at the time that we had Mayan fever because we were so obsessed, and we would see a picture of a site and we'd go there. We had to, you know. We learned many things along the way, and we read every book we could find, but none of them were the answer we were looking for, until my husband found Humbatzman's first book, which was Mayan Science and Religion. And in Mayan Science and Religion, when we read that book, we knew we had read the first truth about the Maya. And that was a published book that Humbatzman had back when we read it. I don't know when it was first published. I can't remember. You'd have to look in the front of the book. But when we first read it, it would have been 1995. And then my husband wrote to him and told him how much we loved the book and felt that we'd read our first true Mayan information and what should we do then. Told him some of the places we'd been to and our obsession with learning more. And a month or two later, you can't imagine what a thrill it was for us, he wrote back. And his book started out with, Dear Solar Brother Daniel. I mean, his letters, I don't know what I said. His letter started out with, Dear Solar Brother Daniel. Oh, our hearts were so taken and touched immediately because we could feel his genuine sincerity and his calling him a solar brother. You know, it was so fantastic. And he invited us to come to Mexico to be initiated in the Mayan tradition the next year. So that would have been 95. We probably got the letter back. So it was 96, spring equinox, 96, to come and be initiated. So of course we went. Who could refuse such an offer, right? Who could refuse such an offer? So we went and met him. And we were very lucky because in 1995, which the Mayans considered was the end of the 500 years of darkness, Humbatzman had like 1,000 people, or a certain number anyways, that surrounded the temple of Chichen Itza at that time. And there were all kinds of people from all around the world who were celebrating the end of the 500 years of darkness. And many people from many traditions were there and celebrating that. So there were many people. So if we had known about that and known about him then and gone there then, we would never have met him, really, you know, and all those people. But because we went in 1996, there were only 35 of us. And so we got to meet him personally and learn from him personally. And before we left from that sacred journey with him, that first one, he said to us he could see, we asked him questions and on, during the trip, and by the end of the trip, he approached us at the end of the trip and said that we should start our own mystery school in the United States to bring back the knowledge that he was teaching us, and that we can teach whatever we wanted to teach, but to bring back and spread the knowledge of the Maya. So we did. And so it's been an ongoing process ever since then to be able to do that. And there are, a good number of people here today that have menhu basmen and been really taken by the information and the knowledge that he taught, and went their way and graduated on into life to share his teachings, to share their own knowledge, and to just manifest in a higher manner here. So I'm very grateful for the people that I have had the chance to travel with and know and learn with, that we're all carrying our sacred journey forward. It's so important. There isn't anything that I love more than being with other people who are on this sacred path. And it doesn't just have to be a Mayan path. It can be many paths that we all have studied. We've all been many different races and religions in many lifetimes. But we're bringing that knowledge together now to try to help process and bring it out into the world. So it's not just one thing that we can say something is from. I was trained as a Mayan fire priestess by Ana Maria Vergara, and this is actually her necklace. These are her necklaces she gifted to me at one point. But one of the things that she taught me was how much we have to really work with the sacred smudge, work with the sacred energies, and really broadcast those energies. So right now, we can't light the copal right now this minute because I didn't do it ahead of time, and I've been having trouble with it anyways. Luckily, we got it going this morning well. But I'm going to send that energy through you now because I want you to receive as much as I can possibly bring through for you. Okay? So just receive. All you have to do is receive. So I'm going to blow this beautiful copal energy now. I'm calling upon the beautiful copal to come into the room now. And I'm sending this beautiful energy through all your body, minds, and spirits. Feels good? Feels good? You feel it in the back of the room, Eddie? Okay. All right. So, but part of the point I'm going to make is that we've all been here many times, and we all bring in things from different time periods. And so, nobody taught me to do what I just did. No one taught me that I know of. It came to me along the path and along the way, It came to me. Many of the things that I do came to me along the path and along the way. Not because anybody taught them to me. And I believe that many of these things I already knew from other lives and other lifetimes. And then being in the sacred sites, being in ceremony, being in connection with the divine, that has brought these gifts forward inside me that I can share them with others. And so all of us have our paths, have our ways that we're learning to connect with nature, that we're learning to connect with the divine. And as you go forward in life, your abilities that you had from other lifetimes are going to be there, and they're going to come to you, and at different times for whatever reason. One of the things that came to me that I really want to share with you today, and it's fun anyways too, because Humbasman was always fun. It was fun. He'd be very serious, believe me. When he was setting up the sacred geometry of a ceremony, I mean, you made a perfect circle, and you made a perfect square, and you stood here, and you stood there, and that kind of thing. And if you weren't going to do it, go over there. You know, he was very directive and very serious about setting up his ceremony. We have very funny stories, but anyways, but other than that, he loved to laugh, and he was so much fun. So I want to share something with you that came to me in a moment of my, and some of you know this already, but it came to me in a moment of my loving the energy of loving the sun and praying to the sun and asking, you know, how I could help people. What could I do that they could be able to transform their energy very fast so that they could pull themselves out of despair and bring themselves and transfer themselves very fast. What could I do? How could I help people? You know, what could I do? And the sun actually went like, I mean, this may sound goofy, but went, you know, and then I saw the face of the sun, and then I had this idea, okay? So Humboldt's men taught us many beautiful mantric Mayan sounds, and one of those sounds that he taught us was lol. And I think Eddie had something in one of the video we watched earlier about it. It's L-O-L. And the Mayan language is totally mantric. And if you use the vibration and frequency of those sounds, they can transform your vibration and frequency very fast. And so a beautiful thing, I'm going to demonstrate it for you, and then if you'd like, after I get done demonstrating it, we'll all do it together, because it's fun and it's wonderful. Okay? So the sound of lull, I'm going to make the sound play right now. It's like very beautiful vibration. See my voice change already. Very beautiful frequency, because my voice made the sound now, so it's changing my chakra, right? Very beautiful frequency, okay? So I was given the idea from the sun that we could use that sound to transform ourselves very fast. So if I picture my own personal sun, so I picture it in my mind's eye that I am holding the sun right here. I picture it and I'm holding the sun, my own personal sun. I'm holding it there, and then I'm going to sing to it. Because everything's about relationship and frequency, right? So I'm going to sing to the sun, and I'm going to sing that sacred sound to the sun. Okay? I've got my own personal sun here. Just brief. But so now my hands, you may not know this, my hands are full of energy now, because I'm holding the sun, my own personal sun, and it's vibrating very intensely already from that just few little singing to it, right? So it's already vibrating intensely. So if you do this for 5 minutes, which is actually a fairly long time, and your body will probably naturally sway and move with it, and then at the end of the 5 minutes, you take this beautiful personal sun that you've filled with energy, and you drop it into your crown chakra and let it smooth through your whole body. You'll get an incredible, beautiful transformation that fast. Okay? So, doesn't matter how you do it, but if you can find a space to stand up, if you'd like to join me, we'll do this for about 5 minutes, and then when you get down to that certain point, you're going to drop it into your crown chakra and let it go through your whole body so that you receive the grace of that lull sound and the sun into your whole body, okay? And I did this the first time for Humboldt's men, showed him with a group when we were at Oshkosh, a beautiful site in Mexico, okay? So picture your sun. You want it to contain it. So you're thinking of holding it in your hands. And then you're going to sing lull to it, okay? And then if your body moves, that's good. Now take your sun and drop it into your crown chakra and just let it go through your whole body. Very nice, very nice, very nice. You can do this anytime you want. You know, find a little space. You could be at work. And you could do it quietly, whatever, you know, and do it, right? And have yourself in a beautiful space, you know, letting go of all the stress and all the strain in the world. Just that fast, okay? So that's the one thing he taught us a lot about was the Mayan language, was that it was very matric and vibration and frequency. Boy, you should have heard him when he would sing and say different things. I mean, it was just tremendous to hear his voice, you know, with those beautiful, you could just feel the frequency and vibration. And he was so fascinating. He was so much fun because he had this deep, deep, deep relationship with every element, the earth and the sky and the cosmos and everything, so deeply that when he would do ceremony, he would lead a ceremony, you might see all kinds of phenomena just because he was in this relationship and things just came to him, right? So it's like one time we were in Diesbel Cheltun, and he was doing a beginning ceremony of blessing of the waters and all that kind of thing. And he was toning, or we were doing something, I can't remember exactly what, but all of a sudden this whole flight of this bee nest and a whole flight went through the whole place. I'm not kidding you. Everyone went, ooh, you know. Another time, and then the little fishes started jumping out of the lake, you know, minnows and that kind of thing. They just started, I mean, everybody was so excited that he was there and calling. And as soon as he would start something, the doves would start singing their beautiful song. I can't make their song right now, but you know, that beautiful woo, woo, you know, that you'd hear them, they would start. And he would always tell us they're making in the name of Hunapku. They're calling in the name of Hunapku, which is the name of God. Yeah, because it sounds like that when they're doing it. Sort of like that. But he would say they're calling the name of Hunapku. They're calling the name of Hunapku. And one time, we practically got ran over by a flock of turkeys. You could hear them coming, you know, we're in the middle of ceremony there at Low Bay, you know, and you could just hear them coming. You know, I mean, they were coming, you know, and everything, and they never did quite show up, but I was like, I was waiting any minute to just be stampeded by a flock of turkeys, you know, so stuff happened all the time because of his relationship with everything. So to me, that is the whole thing. Relationship, relationship, relationship. And the reason I can do the thing with the Kopal is because I have a relationship. I developed that over time because of my love, my respect, my appreciation for how it worked and cleansed and cleared us, so it came to me. It's sort of like in those books of Don Juan, you know, he talked about having your ally in the plant kingdom or the mineral kingdom or whatever. So these things become our allies when we respect them, we use them, we love them, and love being the most important vibration of all, you know, the love frequency. So there's so much you can learn from your teachers. But I said today, we're the ones they're waiting for now, okay? We're the ones that wait. We've been studying this stuff all these years. We've been working with our teachers. We're taking on this essence of this higher knowledge and frequency and wisdom, and we're bringing it in here to the world, and it's so needed. Every one of us is needed. Every one of us is needed to bring in this frequency and this energy so that we can transform ourselves and transform our lives and transform our world. You know, so every one of us is needed. And Humbas Man had beautiful visions. He would have these great ideas and beautiful visions. And it's like for 2011, when various people in this room went on the pilgrimage across the United States, and Eddie showed us the map of how that pilgrimage went and all that kind of thing. When Humbas Man had that vision of doing that, you know, he told Dan and I about it for about a year, so we'd hear about this vision of this, and I'm thinking like, okay, because sometimes I didn't always I didn't always believe everything he said in a sense. I think, well, that's a nice fairy tale, but how in the world is that ever going to occur? Because where are the finances going to come for that to happen, right? And so I think, well, it sounds good and all that. Plus, he had a timeline. He wanted it to happen by a certain time, right? So in the process of all of his vision, he ended up, he talked to a lot of people about his vision and what he wanted to do. And so one of those people that he ended up talking to, he had a good relationship with, he would call him Drumbalo. So he had a good relationship with Drumbalo. So he had told Drumbalo about his vision. And so Drumbalo contacted this lady who was one of the, not a conductor, a creator, a music creator, composer. A composer for, my other mind over here, for Cirque du Soleil, okay? So, and she was a very wealthy person to begin with. So he contacted her, and she decided that she was willing to give the money for the trip. Because, part of the reason, there were different reasons, but one of the reasons was she wanted to get the Mexican government to allow her and Cirque du Soleil to do a Cirque du Soleil event with all the Mayan elders at Chichen Itza, and have them come parading down there and all this kind of thing. It would have been pretty cool and fancy. But so she did a lot of negotiations for more than a year trying to get this all to happen, kind of thing. And in the end, the Mexican government said, no. My best man has a funny story about that. He would always say, they have these, in the old days, you could do ceremony at places, and then they wouldn't let you do ceremony anywhere. But he'd say, now they say you have to fill out the form. So you fill out the form. You send it to Mexico City. You wait 2 months. The form comes back. It says, no. So if we ever did anything, we always did it on the premise of do it until they stop you from doing it. Just go in there and quickly do whatever you're going to do, quietly if you can, or find a spot to do it. And then, you might get away with it before anybody stops you, basically. So, but this lady put up the money. But the problem is that, so they had a timeline, because it was like, she put up the money, and it was like, let's see, so we did it in October, right? Yeah, no, September. Started in September? Or it started in October? Was that October? Okay, so we did it in October, all right? So she gave the money in, let's say, it was like August. I'm not kidding you, this is no joke. July or August, right? And she gave it to me, because I had to talk to her on the phone, and she lived in Monaco. Macaw. See, my other mind is better. It's very good. Macaw. She lived in Macaw, so I talked to her in Macaw and had to convince her that I was a trustworthy person that was going to take the money and help plan this whole pilgrimage, right? So I had like a month, and I am not kidding you. We had to organize everybody, buy everybody's air tickets, and from all over the world, the Mayan elders, because we brought Mayan elders for the end of it. So see, this thing started in New York, and it went all the way to LA, and in LA, there was a big Crystal Skull Conference, and then we were bringing in 13 Mayan elders into that Crystal Skull Conference. So my husband and I are sitting there trying to put all these Mayan elders' names into you ever try to fill out your information for your air ticket, right? So we had all this information with their passport numbers and all this stuff, and we're trying to buy these air tickets. Oh my God. And we get timed out. Because you're trying to do this, right? So anyways. But we bought people's air tickets, and we had to find the hotels, and we didn't have that much money. We had $60,000. And we had to move 16 people from New York City all the way to LA on $60,000, paying for their hotels and food and our transportation, right? And it was quite a mastermind feat for us all to do it. And some people used their personal vehicles, and we paid for the gas and whatever. And then we had one nice fancy car I rented in my name. It was really nice. And Humbert says, I'm in this car. This is mine. And Bonnie drove it, our friend, and Bonnie had to be the fire priestess because I already had my vacation schedules, and I was going to Scotland. And I had my group and everything. We were going to Scotland, so I couldn't be on a lot of the trip. I just had to plan it all and do a lot of it. And so Bonnie filled in as a fire priestess for most of it. I flew into New York and did that event there. I flew into Sedona, did that there. And then Serpent Mound was my baby, because that's in my neighborhood, right? So we did Serpent Mound, right? But, and then of course flew to LA. But on the way, Bonnie drove that whole way. You know, she was the driver the whole way, and Dorothy and Deborah, who are here somewhere but not in the room right now, were in the car with her. And I can't remember who else was in the car. But anyways, so the car was packed. Humbats, he was in the front, in the middle, you know. And so we had these different vehicles. I think we had 6 vehicles, didn't we? I think we had 6. Oh, okay. Okay, it was a big group, right.
I think we were 7 in the end.
7 in the end, right. So across the United States, nothing went as planned, of course, which you can imagine, right? And in different places, like Cahokia, right? In Cahokia, I would talk to Cahokia, and they said, no, you can't do ceremony here. You have to get permission of the tribal council or whatnot, who decided that it belonged to them. So I wrote to them, and they said, no. And we'd already sold tickets, because along the way we're trying to earn money to help pay for things and to help give something to Humbats to take back for what he needs to do in Mexico and all this stuff. Anyways, so they said no. So they had an incredible experience at Cahokia, which I didn't get a chance to experience directly, but I heard a lot about it. And then about a week later, I got an email from the tribal elders, and it said, we heard you did ceremony in Cahokia. I guess it was okay. So somehow they were okay with it then, you know. In the end, they were okay. I never actually answered them, because I just was trying to, well, I don't know anything. I wasn't even there, you know. So I never even answered them. But so we run into that kind of stuff all along the way, right? And Humbats had more places he wanted to go, but there wasn't enough money, and Drumble had helped him whittle down the schedule to make it so we could supposedly get there in 2 weeks. Was it 2 weeks? Something like that. 2 weeks, let's say, from New York to LA, right? So that we'd be at the Crystal Skull Conference on time and everything. So anyways, it was an incredible feat. And then when we were in LA, and those beautiful Mayan elders were there, and they did their ceremony in a traditional way I'd never seen before, because there were a bunch of them. And they had these little outfits on I'd never seen in my life, and they did this beautiful ceremony with no shyness, and it was really terribly amazing. And they blessed all our crystal skulls that were there, and that was just an incredible experience, you know. And then they actually made it to the airplane on time, which I was sweating bullets on that one. I didn't think they were leaving on time, you know, to make it to the airplane to get them back to Mexico and everything. So all along the way, wonderful, miraculous, and that meant so much to Humbats. He had that, in the end, he had the tea house, we call it the House of the Tea, because there was a sacred geometry figure in the Mayan symbolism, which was a tree of life, and he had that in the windows. He'd made into this house, and he'd made like an observatory kind of thing out of this house. And he had made a room for himself there, and he said he was always going to go live there. He was going to sort of retire there in a sense and live there. And on his wall, he had this map stretching across the United States with all the places that they'd gone, you know, and experienced, and he loved that. He was so happy with it. He loved that. And his energy is so much in so many things. And here's beautiful Nagaku. And I didn't even tell you about this. He got this baby. I don't remember exactly the year, but the antiquities dealer who brought these crystal skulls out of the cave in Tibet ended up giving Humbats men this crystal skull, and because he had knew of him and all that kind of thing. And I think he was trying to make reparations with the gods for having taken all this stuff out of the cave in Tibet. And so he gave this to Humbats men, Frank Liu. And we had all the 13 that we knew of crystal skulls in our living room back in 1999 in Paris, Kentucky. And Star Moser Johnson was there at that time and doing healing sessions with them. And Frank Liu and his wife Judy were there. They're actually from Hong Kong. And they were there too. So we had some really amazing experiences with all 13, but then they ended up being sold, and he gave this one to Humbats men. And when I received this, Humbats men passed over and he loved this skull. And it developed this third eye as he he worked with it. He was so cute. He brought it to Serpent Mound, and and this other lady brought some of her the same group of skulls there, you know. And I said, "Homebots, yours looks a lot different." He smiled, little smile. He said, "I've been working with it." You know, and it was so much different. It looked so different, you know. And then it had developed a third eye and everything. And he loved it. And he'd had a vision when he was a young boy. He'd had a vision of seeing himself with all these crystal skulls, which of course he had no experience with any of it at the time, but he saw it. So in the earliest part of his life, that was part of his destiny, was to do all this, you know, and to do the Crystal Skull Conference. And Mary, as Mary said earlier, that she met him in 2009 at that Crystal Skull Conference. And a beautiful, I'm going to show him, I don't know what my timeline is, so, but I'm going to share one more beautiful story that happened there at that Crystal Skull Conference. He has this beautiful, he calls it the Codex of Winkal, this beautiful copy of a codex. Oh man, there's so many stories. How much time do I have left? Anyways, because he got that codex, you know, everybody had heard all the Mayan codexes were gone, right? So he happened to be in California and visiting the Theosophical Society's library kind of thing in there. I remember that one. And he asked, of course, was the only thing he was ever interested in anywhere, "You have anything Mayan?" And the lady that was there running the library at that time said, "Well, why don't you look at this? I'm not sure if it's mine or not." And he opened it up, and I actually have, I brought a copy with me. I forgot about that. I have it in the bottom of my suitcase because I want to leave it sitting out. A copy of it. And in this book was this beautiful Mayan codex, you know, page after page after page of it in there. And Humbatz told us a story about it, and it was such a beautiful story. He said, "And I had it in my hands, and then I was thinking, I'll put it under my arm. I'm going to run. He said, but I'd get caught." So he didn't. So he chose not to do that. But that was his first impulse, you know, because he had a real codex, a real Mayan codex in his hands, and it should have been with the Mayan people, right? But here it was in the Theosophical Society's library there, right? So, but for some reason, you know, the higher power smiled on him, and that lady made him a colored copy of it, of the little book. I mean, it's like, let's see, it's 13 pages, so it's like 26 pages, right? Each page is like a full-size page, like a 11 by whatever normal sheet of paper is. She made him that colored copies and let him take it out of there. And so he brought that back to Mexico, and he called it the Codex of Winkal because it didn't have any name. It wasn't even known that it was a Mayan codex, right? And so he interpreted it for us over the years, and it was really wonderful to hear his interpretation of it. But I digress, and now I forgot why I was even telling you that story. Oh, because in 2009 he brought it with him, and so he had like a table like this at the Crystal Skull Conference in 2009 in Arizona, and he did everything in a sacred manner. So he laid some special cloths he brought with him on the table, and he had the crystal skulls there, and then he had the Codex of Winkal there, and he wrapped it in ceremonial cloth and had it tied up. And so when he opened it in a sacred manner too. And he had blessed some water, and then I was being one of his fire priestesses, and so I was smudging it as he opened it, and he was blessing it with the water. So we did it all in a very sacred manner, and I thought, that's pretty cool, you know. Then he had me and the other fire priestess, because we had all the speakers' crystal skulls on the table. He said, we're going to show the codex to the schools. We show it to them first because you would always say, who has more knowledge? This or the school? Who can hold more memory? This or the school? And you say, the school. So we're going to show it to the schools first. And I'm thinking like, you know, oh, okay, you know, it's a good idea, I guess, you know. So so there was long, it was one piece, it was long, right? Well, it was two pieces, but they were each 13 pages connected. So she's on one side of the table, I'm on the other. So we go like this with it, and we go like this to the schools. I swear this is not a lie. I saw the glyphs flying off the codex into the skulls. I am not kidding you. I almost dropped the codex because I was going, holy cow, this is like really amazing, you know. And so often the things he would tell me, I wouldn't necessarily believe them because I never had that experience. So to me it was like a nice story, but it really did. And then after that we held it up to the crystal skull carriers, guardians, and then we held it up to the room of people. It was so beautiful. And so things like that happened. He had this knowledge, this deep understanding and knowledge and connection with the universe. And we can all have that as we continue to work on ourselves and our lives and our relationships, and we can all have that too. It's just a matter of continuing that and respecting ourselves, respecting lives, respecting our relationships, fostering our love for all this, fostering our love for the earth. It's like, I'm not very good at blowing a conch shell. I have like 3 of them. But if I really work on it, I'm okay. I can do it. But you have to keep up with it, and I'm kind of busy. So anyways, but the first time I was trying to help somebody do something, I was trying to explain this to them, the idea about how relationships matter, and your relationship, even if you're not perfect, if you have the right attitude, it counts. So I hold the conch shell up to the sun, because I wanted the sun to come out. It was really cloudy, and I was trying to do this healing, and I needed the sun to come out. So I hold the conch shell up and go, and it wasn't perfect. It wasn't like a beautiful, ooh, it wasn't like that necessarily, But gradually, it came out. But the sun came out immediately, nicely. It didn't stay out very long because it was a really cloudy day, but it came out. And I said, see, if you have the right attitude, the right respect, the right desire, even your efforts, the best you can do, are good enough. That it's there. So you don't always have to have the perfect words, as long as you have the feeling and caring and love in your heart. You might not remember exactly how to say something in Mayan, or you might not remember what color the Maya have for each direction, or you might not remember some particular name of some god. But you have the right attitude, you have the right heart, you put it out there, you make that relationship. So it really counts, and it really matters who we all are. And there are people who have seen images of what they call the New Earth, because we're in this time where, things may happen, we don't know what's going to happen. But there are people who have seen the New Earth, and I even know somebody who's actually been there a few times and could have stayed, but she has her family here, and you know how we are with our families, we love them. And so she didn't stay there, right? And so there's many possibilities of how things could go as things evolve, because our Earth is evolving. Part of what we're all going through right now is the fact that the Earth is evolving. The changes that are happening here on Earth are happening throughout the cosmos. You go to Mars, you go to Saturn, you go to Jupiter. If you've ever studied any of that, changes are occurring on those planets just like they are here. It's not just us that are creating what's happening here. There are changes occurring because we're involved in a cosmic event. That's why the name of our school is the Cosmic Mystery School. You can't avoid it. You're involved in a cosmic event living here. And so I think that the higher we raise our own vibrational frequency, the more we love and help each other and raise our frequencies and levels, the more likely we're going to end up on that new Earth. You see? So it might just be like a whoop, it might be a dimensional whoop, I'm not sure exactly, but that's more likely. Or the spaceship comes down and gets you and takes you, I don't know how it'll go, but the more likely that is to happen is that we raise our frequencies and we be here with that. And we allow it to happen. You can't go back and I've been told this, you can't go back and get your dog. If the spaceship comes down or whatever, in that moment in time, you just have to get on. Okay? Because you'll be happier if you do. And besides which, with animals, this is just a little aside about animals. They already know everything that's going on. The trees already know everything. I love trees. The trees already know everything that's going on. They already know. They're not like dopes. They already know. They know what these frequencies mean. They know what's happening. They know before a hurricane comes or a fire or whatever. They already know because they have that knowledge instinctually or whatever. And when I had this cat, he was the most awesome cat in the world. We named him Bacall because of Colbotan and Flanke and all that stuff. So anyways, but he was the most awesome cat in the world. And he came into my dream space a few times and tried to show me how to move into another dimensional frequency. He showed me, tried to show me how to do that. I wasn't a very good student, I guess, but anyways, he tried to show me. When he passed, terrible for us to have him leave our lives and all that, and he passed. But for him, it wasn't a big deal. He was walking into the next room. Just like it will be for any of us if we go to the new earth or we pass from this frequency. We leave our body here, as a lot of Native Americans say, drop your shirt. If we leave our bodies here, whatever, it'll be like walking into the next room. So you can't go back for your dog or your cat. Get on the ship. Or move into the blue orb that comes for you, where I don't know, I don't know what's going to happen, or the new earth starts to unfold around you. Don't jump back. Just let yourself go with it, okay, when the time comes. I've had people write me a lot of letters. Where should I go? Where should I live? What should I do? Things are, earth changes and all that thing going on, It's like, well, I don't know. But we had some friends from Japan who were devout students of Humbat's for many years. They were beautiful people, devout students of his for many years, helped with Lobe a lot for a while. And when the tsunami and the nuclear event happened over there, they were in Mexico. They didn't know that was going to happen ahead of time, but they weren't there, right? So where we're supposed to be, if our frequency is right, we'll be moved. We'll be there for some reason. So that's what I try to tell the people. You could put yourself on the top of Mount Everest, and all of a sudden the earth goes, it might not do you any good. That might not be the answer. So if you stay with spirit and work with these energies and vibrate your frequency correctly, you'll be where you're supposed to be. Okay? Any questions? I'm sure I'm out of time. I don't know. Huh?
What is the codex?
A codex? Mayan codex? Oh man, I don't have it in here with me. It's a beautiful Mayan book, and it has all the glyphs and symbols of a codex is a beautiful Mayan book with all the glyphs and symbols of the Maya. This one that Humbats has, and I have copies of it for sale, because the money goes to Lobe, which is a sacred site he made. The money we collect goes to Lobe, the sacred site Humbat's been made to keep it going in Mexico, so that you can do ceremony someplace and not have the Ina, as he would always say, Ina, and not have Ina stop you from doing it, right? So the codex, it's beautiful. It's so this one has images of sort of like Mayan warriors on it in a sense, and they move across the pages, and they transform over the course of the pages. And there's also a skull in that codex, and a dragon, and they were their teaching books. They were their teaching books. Where and he one time he looked at a codex that somebody else had, told him they were going to give it to the Maya and all that, got him to come to the United States and look at that codex, and he saw that they had that the dots and things, they were doing acupuncture back then, the Maya, and different things he told them about the codex. And then you know what they did with the codex? They folded it up, took it with them, and sold it for millions of dollars, because it had been validated by a Mayan elder, right? That's bad karma. You shouldn't do that. I wouldn't want to be that person who did that. I don't know what happened to him, but I wouldn't want to be that, So anyways, that's the codex. It's a teaching, it's their teachings are on those. And the one that we have is about transformation and transforming yourself. So, any other questions?
What's going to happen with Lobe now?
Well, Lobe is, Lobe, I just sent $3,500 there yesterday. Is that yesterday's Friday? Yeah, Friday. To help them sign the papers over with the lawyer so that it'll pass into Cesar, which is Humbat's son's, hands legally now. So it's still there. The House of the Tea is still there. The sacred ceremonial space is still there. Now it's hard when things are in the jungle, kind of. It goes fast. So some things aren't there. That Humbat's was there and worked 2 days a week there and had a caretaker that worked with him to keep the land clear and to develop the he wanted to have all the natural Mayan trees and plants, fruit-bearing plants and vegetables there, and he had really done, it was really nice. And quite honestly, that's all grown over now. So that's not there. But the sacred space is still there to do ceremony. The house of the tea is still there. The other house that has a lot of Humbat's charts and things, it's still there. It's still there. His energy was so big and present there when I received Nagaku in November of 2016. You know, it was just like, really, really profound. I feel his energy there so powerfully, you know. So, any other questions?
Is this working? Okay. I kind of wanted to just briefly also make a comment and just say, I said this to you earlier, but even just publicly, just so people understand, you know, you've been such a really adamant student. You tease yourself that you're not, but you've been a really great student, and I personally am very grateful to you and everything that you've done. I'm very grateful that Humbat's entrusted you with Nagaku. To me, when I heard that news, it really brought tears to my eyes because, like you said, sometimes things go here and there, and
Yeah.
I'm just grateful that you've
Well-
carried that work on, and thank you for that.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But at the same time, okay, there was a direct reason. When Humbat was at our house the last time in May of 2016, and he passed in September, I knew it was the last time I was going to see him. And he looked around our conference room where we teach classes and that kind of thing, and he saw all his DVDs and books and things like that we'd helped make for him, trying to support the work that he did here, you know, and everything. He said, you know, it's like, you have all this. You have all this. You know, you have to keep doing the teaching. Basically, he said that. And when I knew that he was going to pass, I mean, not in that moment, but when I knew that he was going to pass and he was in the hospital and all that stuff, and he was going to pass, I'm going like, that skull is coming here. Because I don't know what will happen to it otherwise. And I have to keep it safe for him. Because you never know, you know, what's going to happen. It's in Mexico, the land, the low bay. I didn't know if it could even be kept going. It's no easy thing. It's like 80 acres, you know, I mean, it's a huge thing, huge to keep something like that going, so. But his son has stepped up and really is doing the best that he can do. And we're still working with him, and we're very grateful.
So then to chime in on part of even that film experience that we had yesterday, and we'll continue with tomorrow, all of that intention was to try to help Lolbe come to fruition. And Lolbe also is Humbat's school that he had there was called the University of Yoka Maya. And so, you know, even though Maestro Humbat's has crossed over, clearly he had an intention for deeper work to be done there, and part of that title, Yoka Maya, like it indicates, it's the Mayan word for yoga. And so there is an intention that Humbat shared with us that he wanted yoga to be taught in a traditional Mayan way, along with the ceremonial center and stuff. On Sunday, there's a clip that we're going to show of Lolbe. So yesterday we watched up until Crestone, Colorado, but there's a clip that we did from a ceremony on December 21st, January 12th. We did a ceremony there, and he unveiled a stela, a writing that he had made to show people that the Mayans still know how to write their own writing. This isn't something that was lost. So that's a part of his work, and you know, us initiates and brothers and sisters here, like we're all solar brothers and sisters, as she said, that affectionate term that Humbat shared at times. And that's part of why we're here, is to kind of bring this love, bring his energy that he shared, and the hope for a cosmic culture. You know, I've seen you, Patricia, in front of crowds talk about how the reason you do this is because you want children in the future and the world to know cosmic culture.
Absolutely.
And you hold that with such passion. I really admire
I
you.
do. We are the children of the sun. We are the children of the sun. We're the children of the sun. We are the children of the sun. Totally, completely. Children of the sun. We are the children of the sun. And Humbat said one of the things, he's a beautiful, anybody was there when he said this, everybody loved it so much. One time we were in Ukmal, which is about the moon, but still, he loved that place. Had a lot of feminine energy there, and he liked women, so, you know. So it had a lot of feminine energy, and we were standing there, and he was teaching, doing a teaching with us, and there were little flowers, it might have been dandelions, I don't know, but little yellow flowers on the ground. And he said, when I come back next time, I'm going to be that flower. Because all day, it follows the sun. It follows the sun all day. So I'm going to be that flower. So maybe he has, I don't know. You know, maybe he did follow it. Maybe he did that. So, but we are the children of the sun. You wouldn't have been drawn to work with him if you didn't have that. I mean, all of us know each other many times. Holy smokes. You know, we do many times. So it's, we're all children of the sun, or you wouldn't be interested in his teachings. He was such a great teacher. He taught thousands and thousands of people over the years. Thousands and thousands. Thank you so much. We thank you. We thank you. Thank you so much.